Welcome to another edition of what we call Fireside Chat. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Orvill Ifill. And this guy has done so much. He's been around. He's very active, and I want to give him a proper introduction. Orvill is a cradle Catholic, and he attends Our Lady Queen of the Universe Church here in Birmingham. He is married, so he's a husband, he's a father, he's a grandfather, and he attended Holy Family Elementary School, Holy Family High School, and he kept it in the H family and went to Howard University in Washington, D.C., so he kept it to 3 H's. He's very active. He's a member of the Knights of Peter Claver. He's the vice president of the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame, and where we're recording right now is in the famous Carver Theater located in the business district, 4th Avenue Black Business District here in downtown Birmingham. So very active. So welcome, Orvill.
Thank you, Keith. It's good to be here with you.
Welcome. Now, Orvill, again, I say you're very active. You're not a person that sit on the side. You always participate. And we don't have a lot of people that always do that the way you do it. You may just take it for granted. But one of my questions is, for all these decades, how have you stayed active and vibrant in your church community, in your community? What's your secret? How do you do it?
I think it was because of the issues involved. And I've always been, as I told you earlier, when I was in high school, I was president of student council. I was in the CYO Catholic Youth Organization. I was in another youth organization in high school. Mm-hmm. I became president of student council. And so that put me in a very visible, active role to get involved in the community. Plus, I was involved in an interracial group in high school, where in 1968, the city was trying to get young blacks and young whites together to communicate, get involved. So I was in organizations like that. And as president of student council, what got me involved in that was a priest named Robert DeGrandis at Our Lady Fatima had me on his radio show. He had a radio show on WJLD radio at the time.
Yes, WJLD.
WJLD radio. So in doing that show, he and I became friends, and so he was a man of action. He got involved. And that, plus being motivated, went to a Catholic high school. At one point in my life, I thought about becoming a priest in my youth.
About becoming a priest.
And he went to the Passionist Fathers who, over Holy Family High School and all that, had a seminary out in Warrenton, Missouri, and went out there and spent a week. A group of us went out and spent a week to get a life of what it's like to be a seminarian.
Oh, wow.
And so my activity, I always wanted to serve, and being active in the church was part of my DNA. My father helped form the Knights of Peter Claver Council in Fort Hill, which was the first council in the state of Alabama. Your father helped
form the council here in Birmingham? Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My father, I think how that happened was my father came from Barbados in the West Indies, so he was an immigrant. When he got involved here, and my father was not a college graduate, so I jokingly said the Knights of Peter Claver became his fraternity. So when they were going to, holy name meetings, and they had white holy name and black holy names, and we were not involved, he saw doing his faith, Catholicism, that was Knights of Columbus and all that. We couldn't be a part of it, so he inquired, he and Grover Cleveland, a few other men inquired about getting the Knights of Peter Claver, and they created the first chapter. He incorporated that here. That's how the Knights of Peter Claver became incorporated. We were, I think, the first chapter, after finding out about Mobile, Knights of Peter Claver were first in Birmingham. Then they went down to Montgomery. They got involved in it. Then Huntsville, Mr. Charles Smoot, who's a member of Huntsville, they created a council up there. So that's how it came about.
And see, that's how you and I met, because I recently became a Knights after being recruited for, and I love it, being recruited for quite some time.
And so when my father passed away, I got involved because Mr. Cleophas Van came to me and told me, it's your father's legacy. You got to be a part of that. I stayed out of that for years because that was my father's fraternity. You know what I'm saying? I let me have that thing. I stayed out of it for years. But I felt obligated after being forced by Mr. Cleveland and Mr.
For a good reason.
Mr. Van, all put the pressure on me about, you need to do this. I became involved in the Knights and became Grand Knight for about 5 years and did all that.
I didn't know you also was a Grand Knight. Okay, so you were Grand Knight for 5 years.
Yeah,
okay.
All right. Part of that.
I say you do a little bit of everything.
Part of that legacy of doing that, I became I was recording secretary, then I became Grand Knight, and then I stuck in a number of years, so I've done pretty much all of it. In my public life, I worked for the Justice County Commission. At one point, I was aide to a U.S. Senator from the state of Alabama named Donald Stewart. I helped get him elected. That got me in my public role. While I was at Howard, I counterbalanced in the first D.C. election.
Oh, wow.
Because I went to study political science. And,
Oh, wow.
And I interviewed the Congressional Black Caucus when I was up there, Shirley Chisholm, all them, doing
Wow.
the paper and all that.
Okay.
And so it was in my DNA, I guess.
Yeah, and
Being a
you
public servant, I liked
continued it.
Yeah.
Now, there's something that here, we're in Birmingham, and during your era, just not that much before I came along, a lot of activities happen around this city. And I want you to tell us the story about, I think the year was 1964. So tell us the story, and it was associated with your church, and something happened. I know that would always be very infamous when this happened. So tell us that story.
Well, at the age of 13, being an altar server at Our Lady Queen Universe, we went to Mass one Sunday morning. And my father, upon going to Mass, I was assigned to serve. So we always went to 7 o'clock Mass. It was cold. There was a package laying on the ground, a paper sack. My father told me to pick it up. I ran late to serve Mass.
So you know it's your father.
Oh, yeah, I knew my father.
All right.
Right, and serve Mass. And during Mass, one of the men apparently noticed a package outside by the tree and went to touch it. Lifted up slightly and saw the bag had something in it.
Mm-hmm.
It was 8 sticks of dynamite.
8 sticks of dynamite.
of
Right outside the church.
Outside
in
the
this
church.
bag.
By the parish hall.
Is that the same bag that your dad
Wanted me to pick up.
wanted you to pick up?
Yeah. That time nobody's going to come pick up trash. He saw the trash, wanted me to pick it up, but I didn't know what it went in church. And so after Mass, after the priest came back, we got a call later around 9:15. My memory serves me correct. Father, one of the men's called him, I think Mr. Sappho and Mr. White found the bomb and told my father. And they came in from the street, from the side of the church hall, that walked on the altar and told Father, whispered in his ear. My senior fault, I was told at that time, told the parishioners that we're going to stop Mass right now for a minute. We want all parishioners to go out to the left side of the church.
Away from the bomb.
Away from the bomb. And we'll continue Mass. Meanwhile, they called the authorities, the police, and they contacted the Army Anderson Depot, where 2 members who knew how to detonate bombs were sent down by police escort to Birmingham.
Wow.
They escorted them down to the bottom of the street, Center Street, 9th Court. They got out the car. We were 2 blocks away. You can see it up top of here. One of them ran up to the Queen by the hall. The other went up to Arthur Shores, because once they found a bomb at Queen University, the calls went out through the community. They found one at Arthur Shores' house at 10 sticks of dynamite.
Wow.
They found one at A.G. Gas Motel, A.D. King's house out there.
This is all on
the same day.
On that same day.
Same day.
So the first one was found, but the Queen, they put the info out there, and they found all these others.
And remember that, there was no cell phones then, so everybody had to call.
Right. Wow.
The neighborhood, we live in College Hill, and where we live with the Queen is called Dynamite Hill. So we were so commissioned after Arthur Shore's house was bombed twice before, we all conditioned to be aware and expect those kind of things to happen. So immediately when they went out, calls went over the whole community. Be on the lookout. Especially, remember, 16th Street was September of 63.
Okay.
This was January of 64. So everyone was on alert about that. Calls went out. People started looking at all churches throughout Birmingham and other black churches.
So let me ask you, so when this crew came from the Anderson Army Depot, which is really about an hour away, what happened afterwards? I mean, did they take care of the bomb, and did y'all regroup in church, or
no?
Did everybody went
Mass was over. When he told the parishioners to go outside the church, they continued Mass outside. They moved all to outside. They continued Mass outside. They dispersed.
Still continue Mass on the other side of the church.
They dispersed while that was happening.
Wow.
They were gone. Mass was over by the time the Army folks got here.
What a day!
They were gone. They were gone. But 5 of the bombs were found there in Birmingham, Alabama. And so we were fortunate none of that went off. But the fact is, what happened a few months earlier at 16th Street, the nerve had happened again.
Right there.
Show how intense it was then.
Right.
Also remember now, inside, not far from my church, Grapevine School was over there. That was integrated by the Armstrong brothers, the Whiteford Armstrong. Okay. Integrated radio school with Fred Shuttleworth, his father, who owned Armstrong Barbershop, integrated Grapevine Elementary School. They ran to the whites because a lot of whites attacked them. They wanted to come there with one immigration. So Smithfield College here was a a hodgepodge of activity there, especially with civil rights. And that's why it's known as Dynamite Hill.
Bonds, so much activity.
All doing the movement, a lot of leadership there. And that's where the black, I guess, business class, a lot of them lived up on top of the street. In fact, Angela Davis' home was right up the street there.
Right up the street.
So
let me ask you, since there was so many things going on, one of the things again before my time was the Sergeant Bill Terry. And he attended basically down the street, Ali the Fatima. And after he served, one of his wishes was to be buried in Elmwood Cemetery, which at that time was an all-white cemetery. And I understand there was some major protests and involvement that went on with that to get him buried. So what do you know about that, and were you involved in any way?
Well, let's put it this way. Segregation in that time went from the outhouse to the White House, okay? So everything was segregated. And one of his wishes, his son later became one of my altar servers, his wife later on was a member of Our Lady of Queen Universe. His wish was to be buried in Elmwood Cemetery after the service. He was first denied after several attempts. He went to court. The law was changed, and the cemetery was integrated. Prior to that time, Father Robert DeGrandis, who invited me as a young student, like I said, I was president of student council at Holy Family High School, to participate in the march to integrate that. So several occasions we went down the march to integrate it and carry signs to integrate that cemetery.
Now, I'll tell you, there's just so many things that happen. I want to transition to this beautiful building that we're in, again, the Carver Theater, located on a historic 4th Avenue Black Business District. And I know several cities around the nation had these black business districts because it wasn't open for blacks to go. So if you would, what was the context of this 4th Avenue Business District? Give me a little history about the importance of this area in Birmingham.
Back in the day, 4th Avenue, and we're located 4th Avenue and 17th Street. Historically, this was like, in New York it was Harlem, in Atlanta was Sweet Auburn Avenue. Okay, Birmingham was 4th Avenue. And everywhere you go in the South, in the black community, there was a park, except in rural areas, there was a park that the black community gathered at, on 4th Avenue and 17th Street, between 18th Street and 15th Street. So all the black professionals there, we had the lawyers, the doctors, the insurance salesmen. We had a pool hall in the basement. In fact, my tooth was pulled by Dr. William Shakespeare when I was young. Had a black dentist there. The Birmingham World, the Mirror, Birmingham World was right next to him. P.D. Jackson's newspaper, I think it was the World right here.
I'm saying several shops,
we had stores, restaurants, clubs, nightclubs here all the time.
And I understand there was nothing to see these celebrities.
No, I mean, just the Sonic Temple, Duke Ellington performed there. The Frolic in downtown here, right around here, you had three theaters. You had the Frolic, which is where the federal courthouse is.
Okay.
You have the famous theater, which is right by the Temptation Park up the street here, where the architect who redesigned his building also located at. And they had the Carver Theater. You had another theater, the 8th Avenue down by Park High School. That was one investment called the Lincoln Theater.
Those were the 5 theaters where blacks could go.
And there was one other theater. We had one drive-in called Carver Theater. And that's a cemetery out near Brighton. Okay. The Carver Theater.
That was drive-in.
Drive-in theater. Okay. We had one back there. Come down to the Carver Theater.
Now, you staying active the way you've been for so many years. You circle all the way back around.
Back here,
and here you are
back here on
4th Avenue in the Carver Theater, and as I mentioned earlier, the vice president of the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame.
First president before I became vice president. I was president.
Okay. And you going through renovations, which it seems to be pretty much, you say not quite, but it looks pretty much finished to me. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, as we get ready to wrap up, I want you to tell me the quick story about Sun Ra. And just you gotta tell us this story and the importance.
Sun Ra was born up here on the Fountain Heights Road. His original name is Sonny Blunt. He became known as the Sonny Blunt, great musician. During his time out one day, he said he came down and somehow he had a cosmic conversion. He said a spaceship came down and beamed him up, and he was examined by bodies of outer space, okay? And upon that, he came down, and when he awoke, he changed his name. He called Sun Ra. He was the first P-Folk later on
So he was a precursor
to George Clinton.
George Clinton.
George Clinton found out that idea. He said he's tripped that. Summerall turned him on to that idea.
So George Clinton gave him credit.
Credit.
Okay.
And that's where P-Funk came by. The mothership connection.
Sunrise from right here in Birmingham. Wow.
So
see, those are the stories that you got the museum here. Those are the stories that we need to know. Well, Orville, thank you for taking the time to give us this history. It's history, and we want to document it and record some of it. And there's a lot in your head, a lot more we could cover. Well, and we thank you for taking the time to be with us today. And imparting, there's always something that I like to say that what we do today becomes tomorrow's memories. So we got to make it good.
That's true.
So is that something you want to say in closing?
Well, I want to close it and tell our people, especially the sport, our historical institutions. Rickwood Field, you saw what happened a few weeks ago.
Yes,
Rickwood Field.
I was there.
You were there. In fact, you were here.
That's right. I started here first. Right.
Okay. So you know the impact we played on that, on sports and athletics. Historically, that's in our neighborhood. We need to support it. The Carver Theater, Jazz Hall of Fame. We created this music. This is America's only original art form that was created in America. Everything else was imported. So support the Alabama Jazz Hall of Fame. Support Rickwood Field. Support all these institutions that are ours. Because only we keep our culture alive, which is why I'm down here involved in this. I felt a commitment to our people, our culture, to make sure. And when I proposed years ago to renovate the Carver Theater, it was for that reason. Because I felt if we could renovate the Carver Theater, it would bring excitement to Fourth Avenue and bring life back.
Orville,
thank you, Keith.
Thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time. And
my pleasure.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
And welcome to the Carver Theater. Come out and see it.
That's right.
We'll keep the lights on for you.